Hi, Steph. What's up? There's been a lot of discussion, obviously, in the recent weeks with the Colin Kaepernick demonstrations, and now, obviously, some stuff going on in your hometown of Charlotte. Just where do you stand on, A, the anthem demonstrations or protests, and what do you want to say to your people back in Charlotte?
I respect everybody's voice, everybody's platform, and their opportunity to and right to protest what they feel in their heart is something they want to change. So I've said that plenty of times about Colin. I respect what he's doing. I respect the message that he's fighting for, and I hope all the spotlight is on that particular message and the things that we can do to make changes that are blatantly obvious we need to change. So I hope going forward it's not about who's raising their fist, who's kneeling, who's standing, who's doing this and that. It's about what Colin and other guys, what the message is and what we don't want to stand for anymore. And about Charlotte, it's another experience and opportunity for people to use their voice. You don't want it to ever be violent. I think the first night in Charlotte, it turned that way, and that's tough to see, especially growing up in that city. I know that's not what we're about, who we are as Charlotteans, and you don't want to ever be in that negative spotlight. But as it went forward, everything was very constructive and productive. And I think it made a huge turn for the greater good of, again, taking a stand and doing what you can to make your voice be heard. And so obviously pray for, Keith Lamont Scott's family, the officers' family. There's plenty of people that are going through, some very tough situations right now. But also just for the city to understand, for the people of the city to understand that, they can use their voice and they should do that. But violence is never going to solve anything.
Great. Jason?
Yeah, Jason Applebaum, KTVU Fox 2. Steph, what was this offseason like for you as you recovered from your injuries, and how hard was it, if at all, to watch the Olympics and not be there?
I mean, the summer's mostly business as usual with just a different perspective on the things that I worked on to get ready for this year. So I did a couple of different drills, a couple of different, routines that will hopefully help me stay healthier as we go through the year or be healthy as we go through the year. That's about it when it comes to the differences. But it was hard to watch those guys down in Rio, watching the opening ceremony and just the sense of pride I know they had, every time they put that jersey on, going out and playing for our country. So I knew it was a decision I don't regret, because I know how helpful it was to be able to rest. But the competitor inside you always wants to be out there playing, especially on a big stage like the Olympics.
Phil Barber?
Hey, Steph, over here. How well did you know Mike Brown before he got here, and what are your early impressions of him as a coach? And on the flip side of that, what do you think you'll miss most about Luke?
I've met, I think, Mike two or three times going through the league and knowing from his days in Cleveland, and in LA, but I haven't talked to him a couple of times since he signed on with us. He's such a smart guy. He knows the game. I've had conversations with him and Coach Kerr about some adjustments that we'll make this year, certain things that he's bringing to the table or wants to bring to the table. So I don't know specifically his style and what his presence will be like in practice in the locker room and games and things like that, which will hopefully be a pretty smooth transition. But I'm looking forward to getting out there, learning from him, bouncing ideas back and forth like you do with all the coaches, and trying to get better. And obviously with Luke, he related really well to all the players, and you always, knew that you're gonna have fun and enjoy whatever, whether there's a practice or game when Luke was in the building, because he can make you have fun with any kind of situation. So, you'll miss that part of his presence in the locker room going forward. But I know the coaching staff here is well equipped to lead us to where we want to go.
Tim?
Tim Bontemps from the Washington Post. There's obviously been so much focus on this season coming ever since the summer when you guys got Kevin. Is it weird that it's finally here now and you guys are getting started?
This day is always weird. No matter how your season ends, it's always a lot of different emotions and thoughts that go into this day because it does mark the start of a new year. I know guys have been in the gym working out for months and months, getting ready. And so there's a little bit of anxiousness, excitement, a little bit of unknown because it's obviously for us it's a totally different roster. So and a different experience coming off of this year July versus last year July. So we'll you kind of just take it in stride and everything starts to flow after this day. So it is weird that it's here and looking forward to another 9-month journey. But I know we're excited.
Hi, Steph. Will Tran here right in front of you. Will Tran from Channel 4 News in San Francisco. You guys are basically fielding an all-star team. Is the pressure more this year than last year, and is it championship or bust?
There's no more pressure than there was last year. I mean, that was coming off a championship, trying to defend with the regular season that we had, getting to Game 7 of the finals. That was so much fun. So it's what you live for. It's what you play for. This year, we're as confident as we were last year, but it'll be a different journey. And our expectations are really, really high, which they should be. And we just have to kind of, just get wrapped up in it. We can't, like we say every year on this day, you can't fast forward to April and to the playoffs. You got to stay in the moment. So for us, that's even more important with the changes that we made because we have to adjust and just take each day as an opportunity to get better.
Mark Spears back left.
Mark Spears, ESPN. Steph, LeBron James said today that he plans on, he respects Colin, but he plans on standing for the national anthem. When you guys play on Saturday, what do you plan to do? And also, do you have any kind of relationship with Kaepernick? Have you talked to him? Any conversations you guys have had?
I plan on standing. But like I said, there are ways that everybody, can affect the mindset of people around them and the awareness of what's going on without having, without in that moment with the national anthem playing, kneeling. I've always said I respect Colin because he took a bold step in that regard to start or continue the conversation and make it more pointed. But I do plan on standing. I don't have a relationship with him. I've actually I met him once when I went to a game about 3 years ago. But I, like most people in the country now, would love to sit down and talk to him to kind of understand his thought process more in detail, how he got to the decision of, how he was going to go about his protest and understanding it, more fully, and the ideas that he may have based on who he's talked to, based on situations that he's been in to help affect change. Because I'm sure he does have some fantastic ways of taking advantage of the moment for sure.
Another question for Tim here, right side.
Steph, over here, sorry. You were saying before how it feels a little different from how this July felt different than the prior one. Obviously, with the way things went this summer, it kind of almost gotten forgotten, I think, by a lot of people, that the way the finals went. How much is that kind of stuck with you for the last couple months, and how much is that going to fuel what you guys are trying to do this season?
You said people forgot?
say that it's gotten a little. I think if you guys hadn't made the moves you made this summer, it probably would have gotten a little more attention. That's all.
I hear you.
I don't mean that you forgot.
No, I'm.
That was kind of what I was getting at.
I got you. I think the way we came into last season, like every year is different. So you can remember the experiences, but you can't let that affect your mind, like how you prepare yourself going into this year, or how you show up to training camp day one tomorrow. I don't want to walk in the door like, all right, game 7. Like nobody should be thinking that way, but you should remember how we felt walking off the court. You should remember all that you did all summer to get yourself into a better position individually and collectively, and go from there. So I know last year we weren't thinking, about being on the podium coming into a new season because we wanted to do it again. So it's just, you got to turn the page, obviously, but not forget the feelings.
Monty Poole again, right next to Tim.
Steph, we know you over here. You and KD go back a ways, but how much have you studied his game over the years? And the other part of the question is, are there parts of his game, because he's known for scoring, are there parts of his game that you think people might be a little surprised by, or at least their eyes will open up to what else he can do?
No, he's a well-rounded player. Like he does score the ball at a high rate. He can do it all sorts of different ways. But in our offense, the way that we've gotten to where we are as a team even before KD, is about ball movement, player movement, a flow and a rhythm to it. There's not a lot of standing. There's not a lot of one-on-one kind of stuff. So knowing or thinking about how he'll transition into it, that he can do all of that at a very high level. He can pass. He can move without the ball. I think he understands. He's a very high basketball IQ when it comes to where he needs to be on the floor and how he can work off other guys. And I know he just wants to play the game the right way. Hearing that come from his mouth, so that fits in right to our identity. But there's still obviously a transition when you have so much talent. You got to figure out how to blend it all. But everybody has to be, at 100% of themselves. There's no sacrifice. There's no, changing your style or anything. It's just when it comes to the full picture of our team, it'll take a minute to flow.
Second row, Ethan.
Ethan Strauss, ESPN. After a lot of praise all throughout last season, there was a lot of criticism of you over the summer. How did you absorb that, and did you think it was fair?
It didn't bother me much at all. Like, I don't talk about like how the finals ended. Like, it obviously did not go our way. It didn't go my way. What are you going to do about it? But what's next? So that's the only thing I really think about. I never got too wrapped up in the praise either. So it's obviously a much better feeling. But I never feed off of that because it doesn't change how I play. It doesn't change who I am. Neither the criticism, just you hear it, have a human emotional reaction to it, and it depends on how you channel it, you move on. It doesn't really bother me or affect the way that I go about my daily life or how I play on the court, so it doesn't matter.
Two more, Marcus and John. Start with Marcus, front row.
Steph, I have 11 questions.
All right, let's go. Here we go.
My first question, in 2015, you had a crazy summer. You won a title, MVP. You were all over the place. This year, you were all over the place, but, with your wife and her book tour and all of that. Which one was more tiring, or how are they different, the crazy summers?
They're both just amazing experiences because they're things we never dreamt of doing. They're things that are our passions. Like, I love playing basketball. She loves to do what she does in the kitchen, cooking, making recipes, and connecting with people. So it's all pretty natural, but it's different being on the other side for sure. I enjoyed that part of it. Just kind of watching.
Question number 2 of 11.
This will be it. Hopefully this will be good.
You've had summers
I
where
think you're serious. This is the Go ahead.
you've had summers where you had to rehab. You've had time where you had to get your health right coming into the next season. How are you, and how did this compare to past summers? Was it easier this summer to get right, or what?
It wasn't any different because, like I was saying, it's you have a focus, a priority list of things I need to work on as you go through the summer. That priority list changes based on the situation every year. So 4 or 5 years ago was how do I get my ankles stronger? How do I get stronger physically? 2 or 3 years ago is how do I elevate my skill level when it comes to being a better scorer and better decision maker. And this year was kind of a lot of those things, but also how do I get my knee healthy? And so the process is the same, but the priorities and the focus changes based on what the needs are at that particular time.
Last question, second row middle.
I'll
John.
talk to you offline.
Steph, John Branch from the New York Times. What was your role in recruiting Kevin, both in text messages and then there in the room?
Well, it was no secret who was in the room in the Hamptons during his recruiting process or whatever. So I was obviously a part of that, chiming in on who we are as a team and organization, how he would fit into what we do, how the transition would probably be, and how much I want to win. So all those are pretty just honest answers about how I see the situation. I did send him we stayed in contact after the meeting, and I don't know how much of an effect what I said along the way had on his actual decision, but you want to just try to have as much transparency and give him all the information that he would need to make the best decision for him. And that's what I would tell any free agent, whether they were coming to our team or going elsewhere in this league. You got to go where the place where you feel like you fit in the best, where it's going to be the best situation, the best opportunity for you, and not worry about what anybody else says, but the people around you that you confide in. So that was basically the gist of it without getting into too much detail.